Merry Crisis, everyone. And I can tell it's Christmas time because there's a new Dexter New Blood episode. My wife got me this t-shirt, which just, how awesome is that? And episode 8, Big Game, has just come out. It's time to talk about it. I'm excited! Woo! More Dexter stuff. I'm a big fan of Dexter. I feel like that sounded very unenthusiastic. No. Yes, let's get into it. Dexter! Okay.
Hey, just editing here. In some places, primarily on my Amazon Prime / Paramount account, the episode is called Big Game, but everywhere else, like on IMDb and everywhere else, it's called Unfair Game. I didn't make a mistake. It's called Big Game on my account. I don't know. It's called different things in different places. Don't know what to say.
So, this episode feels like a Star Wars climax kind of thing where like all these storylines are all happening at once. There's 3 different solid plot lines all running through in this episode. And with that being said, this is a very simple episode. It's pretty straightforward in terms of the plot actually unfolding. There's not a lot of interconnection between them, but it's just ingeniously put together. The pacing is done really well in just a short 43 minutes. I really like it. It's a very simple episode, but it's maybe my favorite so far. Maybe. I'm not exactly sure on that. Don't hold me to that, but it's definitely one of the stronger ones if you ask me. But yeah, there's Dexter's follow-up with his capture at the end of the last episode, there's Angela's investigation, and then there's Kurt and Harrison's interaction from there, and that's all we really get in this episode. So it's short and simple, but it's just really in depth with what it does with those simple concepts. I'm really into it. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's talk this episode out. My first thing that I want to say is my observation of the week, which is that Kurt's whole kind of killing operation seems a lot smaller than I was thinking it was beforehand. I was thinking, oh yeah, there's like this entire big operation going on and like, I don't know, he's selling the bodies and whatever, and like he's a real professional kind of guy in the killing game here. But no, that's not the case at all. Kurt really seems much more of a small-time scumbag kind of killer than I was thinking before. And what with his kind of like trucker buddies helping him along in the way and everything as well, like it's much more like small-towny than like professional hitman than I was maybe thinking it could later be. I'm not so sure on that part anymore. Maybe Kurt is sort of this guy who thinks he's doing good in a really weird, fucked up way. Because it seems like when he is making the people run away and everything, like he is trying to recreate that first kill that he made, where it seems like he was genuinely trying to help the girl. Like he seems to be trying to help broken people and put them down in a humane way, which is obviously complete bullshit. Like he's obviously not doing a good thing. But I think in his eyes, that's why he's doing it. It's not so much for a profit like I thought maybe he was selling the bodies and stuff. I think he thinks he's doing something of a good thing where he picks out, you know, people like in bad situations and everything. And I think that he finally has decided that, yeah, Harrison's in a bad enough situation that I need to like do something about it and I need to kill him because his father abandoned him and everything and all this stuff. He's always angry. I'm gonna like show some mercy. I think that's basically Kurt's way of thinking. Like it doesn't make that much sense in terms of logical ways of thinking to normal people and everything, but as like a villain with kind of a fucked up mentality, I do kind of like it. Anyway, let's get to actually talking about the events of the episode. So, the episode starts off where it left us off from the end of last episode, where Dexter has been captured by that random trucker that left the envelope to Harrison to give to Dexter and all that stuff last episode. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it was a big cliffhanger and everything. You're like, shit, how the hell is Dexter gonna get out of this one? Now, of course, as we were all expecting, kind of like pretty easily, it was kind of a cop-out. Like, he pretty much got out of that straight away, at least in terms of the situation of being like tied up and in the back of a car and everything. The episode starts off with him being unconscious and he's having like nightmares about Harrison killing people. He then wakes up and he like grabs the guy from behind and makes him crash. He causes a car accident and they go off the side of the road. He gets out, he cuts himself out of like the whatever they are called, the ziplocks and everything, and he legs it. He gets out of there. And the trucker guy who had captured him then goes on to pursuing him. And the whole episode from then on between them two becomes kind of just this chase. And it's like this intense survival horror type of episode for Dexter here. And I'm really into that as we watch him like traverse through the snow and everything, trying to just get away from this absolute psycho with a rifle who is coming after him but is purposefully avoiding killing him. He doesn't want to damage the body and he wants to save the kill for Kurt. So instead of opting for the easy kill shots, we see him like aiming the sights down at his shoulders and stuff, but he's like, nah, better not. And so he aims like at his legs and below the waist and stuff. Anyway, meanwhile, Kurt calls Harrison and he kind of seems to be looking out for him. He asks him about Dexter and says that his tied up at the moment. Do you get it? Because he's tied up. Because he obviously, set up the whole capture of Dexter and everything. Anyway, he then tells Harrison that he's going to come pick him up because he's got a surprise for him. And he looks directly at the camera as he tells Harrison this and basically is telling us this like, yeah, I'm a bad dude. It's very much the stare down at the camera confirming, I'm the villain. If you didn't get what was going on, I'm a bad dude. He was like looking straight at the camera. I just found it hilarious. It was a little awkward, but I sort of loved it. And yeah, so it's obvious from here on that Kurt has, some pretty bad intentions, especially when it comes to whatever the hell he is about to do with Harrison. Okay, so jumping over to the other plotline of this episode, we then come to Logan, who is informing Angela about Jim Lindsay's previous actions a few episodes ago, where he was beating up the small-time drug dealer Miles. As we know, rather than killing him and everything, he decided to just look like that angry parent. But this gets Angela even more curious about what the hell's going on with Dexter, because, as we know, she's pretty sus about him right now. She doesn't know what the hell to trust with him. There's all these secrets and everything. So she goes to check out what happened with Miles and starts asking him some questions. As he explains that Jim Lindsay was acting pretty weird that day, that he didn't start punching till the police showed up, which is kind of weird, and that he went in with a smile, acting like a nice guy initially before jabbing him with the needle. He even shows her the mark that was left over on his neck. This all indicates that this wasn't just some sort of irrational, angry parent reaction that just came out of nowhere and was natural as he was just mad and wanted to punch him a bit. No, this was like a planned attack that Dexter or Jim Lindsay made to Miles here. And that definitely, looks bad, especially when it comes to Angela and her whole suspicion of Dexter and all that stuff as well. Angela then goes on to check out Jasper, or at least his body, the guy who Dexter caused to OD a few episodes ago as well, and found that same needle mark on him. Obviously, that looks kind of bad. So basically, this whole episode is all about Angela getting that bit closer to figuring Dexter out, and what's gonna happen when she does. What the hell is he gonna do about that? Because he can't kill her, he can't take her out like that because she doesn't fit the code, and plus he actually genuinely cares about her from what we can tell. So there's not really a good solution there. What I think might happen is that maybe Kurt will take Audrey and maybe they'll work together to take Kurt down or something like that. I don't know. There's gonna be something that proves that Kurt is a bad guy in Angela's eyes, and they're going to kind of make that compromise, and she's going to finally see, in action, why Dexter does what he does. And I don't think she's going to, forgive him and get back with him and stuff, but I think she's going to, maybe... Why am I thinking of this? I think it's going to be a parallel of Fast and the Furious, the first one, where Paul Walker lets Vin Diesel go. I think that's going to be Angela's going to let Dexter go at the end, maybe. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. Anyway, but meanwhile, Dexter now is still being chased through the snow, and I love this awesome survival type of thing that this whole episode is, as he races to get back to his son before Kurt does whatever the hell he's planning to do. The thick snow, though, is causing footprints, which is an issue. Dex tries walking backwards here to veer his pursuer off course, but as I was thinking, he then shouts out, "That's the oldest trick in the book, dumbass!" I'm like, yeah, I thought he would have figured that one out. Anyway, after this, Dexter then decides to actually do the opposite and start to actually lure him into a purposeful spot where he can maybe potentially make a kill room. He sees a sign for this summer camp place, like a Friday the 13th kind of cabin, and he heads on over there while he leaves blood trails and all that sort of stuff, just to make sure that the guy is still following him all the way, where he then sits and waits for the guy to arrive. And I'm getting all giddy because I'm like, yes! Dexter's gonna finally kill another person. We're fucking, 8 episodes in, he's only killed 2 people? Now he's killed a third. As we see when the guy enters the cabin place, he's walking around and everything. And yeah, Dexter takes him out. He doesn't kill him in the traditional, Dexter fashion, but he does still take him out with a knife to the chest, and that was nice to see. And after killing this guy, he then races off to catch up with Harrison and Kurt. Speaking of Kurt though, Harrison is being taken by Kurt to the high school for some reason. The two seem to connect and chat during this episode, and they even play a bit of baseball together. Not actually baseball, but with the machine that shoots the balls out, and they just batting practice. They start to do that together. And the showrunners even play this nice kind of music in the background, as if this is this sweet moment and everything, as they spend time together, showing that he's having this father and son time that he'd never had with Dexter. I'm like, don't do that! Go back to Dexter, you little bastard! But again, with all the conflict with him and Dexter and everything, we can understand why Harrison is always kind of that angry kid, and I do sympathize with that. But this all does, though, seem like a ruse, as we can tell that Kurt clearly has some bad intentions here. here. He even starts taking the like baseball practice machine thing a bit too far, setting it to too high a speed, and Harrison can't keep up. It seems though that Harrison is purposefully getting hit in the side, just like as this form of punishment because he feels guilty for like his dark passenger and all that stuff. I'm not exactly sure. It's either that or he just sucked at baseball. I don't know. Anyway, Kurt and Harrison then end up after that spending time till it gets dark later on as well. He even joins him for dinner and they continue their discussion. They talk shit and all that stuff. Kurt tells stories, and I still don't know what Kurt's plans are at this point, but I do like hearing Kurt just go like, woo-wee, this smells good when he's cooking. It's just like, but who the fuck are you, Kurt? You're such a strange guy. Anyway, we do though then find out what his intentions actually are. Later in their conversation, things start to get more real. Kurt manipulates the shit out of Harrison here, constantly egging him on to really figure out who he is. He openly criticizes Jim Lindsay as a father as he tries to fill that place for him. You know, Harrison starts to say, we just don't get each other. And Kurt tells him, I would never leave you if you were my son. I'd never walk out on you. Their discussion basically comes down to talking about their parallel between fathers, taking the blame for each other's actions and inheriting their problems as well. It's definitely this very kind of dark version of a father and son relationship though. But then this all culminates in finally Kurt coming out as a killer in front of Harrison. He leaves the room for a sec, comes back in his like killer getup with the white mask and the rifle and everything, and he instructs him to run, as we've seen him do with previous victims, where he is just gonna wait for them to run away and bam, shoot him out. Obviously, this is bad, and Harrison starts running off. But it is here where Dexter's part of this episode finally comes into fruition and finally meets up with Harrison and Kurt's plotline in this episode, and he gets there just in time as Kurt is aiming that gun down, he's looking down the sights and everything. Of course, after calling and ringing and texting and Harrison not answering, Dexter, finally being this worried father, finally arrives and, you know, interrupts the execution. He doesn't quite run him over though, as he speeds off into like Kurt's direction. He just misses him as Kurt leaps out of the way and unfortunately and frustratingly flees. He gets away and Dexter doesn't fucking get him, and I'm like, it was so annoying because he's like, Harrison, like, I love you, we need to hug, and I'm like, you can do that stuff like in like a few minutes. Go after Kurt first, please. Anyway, obviously he doesn't. Kurt gets away. But it is here where we finally see that kind of love, that connection between Dexter and Harrison, as Harrison, you know, finally sees that Kurt isn't everything as he seemed prior, and that he finally sees Dexter showing some like love, showing that he can be there for him, showing that he can be kind of reliable. And the end of this episode is them driving away. The last shot, the last little scene is him telling him about the code, telling him a little bit about it. And there's not too much of a conversation yet. They're leaving it for the next episode, obviously, but man, I'm excited for where that's headed. So basically Dexter then promises Harrison, promises us as viewers as well, that he's gonna teach Harrison the code that Harry taught him all those years ago when he was a kid. And man, we all kind of knew that's where it was going. Like, that was one of the very obvious ways that it could have gone. There are a few different things they could have done. But yeah, I'm happy that this is the direction that they're going in, because I don't know, man, it's a serial killer show. I want him to explain this stuff to him and everything. I want to see them work together. Daddy and son serial killing duo. Is what I'll call them, I suppose. Anyway, that's all that I have to say for this episode. And I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was really good. I don't know if it was my favorite or anything. I don't have them ranked out. You know, they all kind of bleed together. I'm not sure which things happened in which episodes again. But, you know, just having freshly watched this one, I reckon it was pretty damn solid. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Okay, so yeah, that's about all I gotta say. Merry Christmas and all that stuff. You thought Christmas was gonna stop me doing this? Well, it's not, because I'm in Australia, and if you're in another place in the world where it's still Christmas Day or something, or just the start of Boxing Day, well, this is like the end of Boxing Day, so it's really not that big of a deal. I did my Christmas stuff before. Anyway, that's it. Do the things, please. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff, and how cool's my t-shirt? Thank you, my wife.